succeed?
Yeah. Typically, as our colleagues know, we all go, through the same path, like all of us in Afghanistan, our friends here. I'm sure if you're trying to be today here in this meeting, you have been actually the way we did the, like a couple of years back. So basically, the way Afghans, we people as people, we are very much, westward kind of looking. We look Western countries, Europeans and America, as our, ideal kind of places to live or to study. We don't normally think about, Asia and especially East Asia. We sometimes don't even like the very, neighboring countries generally. But yeah, with regard to the Japan and Singapore and South Korea, of course, there have been people studying in these places from before. But so what happened to me that made me interested to come to Singapore was like a mutual friend of ours, Hasib Jan, right? Hasib. So Hasib was the director of fiscal policy at the Ministry of Finance, and we have been friends like from long ago. And he came to Singapore in 2022 until 2024, until he graduated. And then actually I doubted him, I was really kind of surprised that like, come on, we don't normally go to, Asian countries as Afghans. We are, the way I mentioned, we are very much interested in European and America countries. So, but of course, he shared with me a lot of information about the school, about Singapore generally. And ever since I was like studying about Singapore generally on, in the internet, and about the school specifically. And I, of course, when I was looking at the specific informations on the school website, this Kuan School of Public Policy website, I was really much into this curriculum that was there for this Master of Public Policy program. So basically, it was the curriculum and the courses that made me to decide to come. And then I started working. Of course, I got to to become familiar more about the school and NUS generally. And then yeah, I made it. I'm lucky. I feel I made it.
What were the specific things that you had to go through in terms of, were there essays that you need to submit? Were there many rounds of interviews? Were there different kinds of tests for you?
So of course you have to meet certain kind of criteria to be eligible and to be successful with regard to the program. There are specific requirements, of course. But generally what happens with the application process, every year, the application process for this specific program, MPP, Master of Public Policy at the Kuan School of Public Policy, starts from 1st August until the mid-December, like every year. And then within this specific time frame, you have to, of course, work on your application. And there are a lot of requirements you have to develop and write. You have to provide your, diplomas and transcripts. You have to prepare your CV. You prepare recommendation letters. You have to prepare the TOEFL or IELTS course if you are not from an English background. And all of these stuff and all of these requirements, I was like, I had prepared the specific checklist. And as I was like working on my application, I was like taking whatever I would have done. And then that was the way I made my whole application. And then I made it finally, of course. But so once I submitted the application, some people actually are supposed to be interviewed. And this happens when there is, a doubt from the school, actually, I should say. because the boarding, the panel who are evaluating your application, perhaps they kind of doubt some specific claims you make over your application. And for that, and just to clarify some specific points and doubts and all, they would have request you to have an interview with them, and that is the way they actually evaluate you in person, and that makes them to actually decide about you whether your application to get succeeded or not. So, but for me, the interview process didn't happen. It was just about my application, and then I submitted my application in December 2023, and then by May 2024, I got to know that my application was successful.
So everything was done online for you? You didn't have to meet them in person before that?
Of course. It's not possible to meet them in person, and actually, it doesn't make any difference to meet anyone when there is this, such a facility like the internet and all. Even I'm here in Singapore, and I do a lot of stuff with the school. We are almost on regular basis in interaction and communications, but a lot of the time, when there's, whenever there's a program, we just meet in person, our dean and faculty and the staff. But generally, we communicate through internet, yeah.
So maybe I'll just invite anyone to ask questions directly to Mr. Jalal. You can just unmute yourself and ask him questions. I think it will be more useful for you if you ask him those questions.
So, okay. Hello, everyone, and happy to be part of this interview. So, thank you so much for the great explanation. I also explained a lot of things. And the only question I wanted to ask is that you said that during the application process, you wrote a person statement. So, like, what do you think, like, what can be a good personal statement, and how can we write that so that we get the acceptances to, like, prestigious universities?
Thank you, John. So what happened with my application when I was developing this essays, in my time, we had to, there were these two questions. We were supposed to answer the questions and to frame everything as a personal statement at the end. I've just opened that essay, and I'm just reading the question just now. The first question was that, what is the most urgent challenge facing your community or nation today? And explain your answer. And the second, the B part of this question was that, tell us something that you have read or seen that offers a solution to the challenge that you have identified in question 1A. So I had to answer this question with exactly 600 words or below this range. And of course, there are a lot of requirements to be considered when you answer such a question. You have to be logical, meaningful, you have to be, you have to develop your essay very, standard with regard to its, structure as an academic essay. That's a very important thing. And of course, it matters what you talk about. Suppose someone who is, an experienced person in some specific area, and the way the guy approaches, answering such a question from his own experience is really different from a person who doesn't have working experience, for example. Because so I was like, in order to answer this question, I was supposed to identify a challenge I'm facing with regard to my working experience, and then talk about different perspectives of such a challenge, and then to portray everything, to be logical, to be meaningful, and to actually, and of course that sort of thing should also be meaningful to the people who are evaluating our applications. So that is what really makes a difference. And of course, first of everything, your essay should be structured in an academic setting. Academic writing really matters. And secondly, of course, whatever you talk about should be logical, meaningful, and should actually meet the kind of criteria that is there for you, required by the school. So you have to align your own preferences with that of the school, so that the school actually thinks of it like that if we get to bring this guy to our school, this guy is benefiting actually our school and from the courses. So that is what really matters. Yeah.
And okay, thank you so
I think
much.
that's a very good point. Yeah.
Let me just finish with that. But so I was helping some friends and colleagues this year, but I came to know that the personal statement you are developing from this year onwards, it is now changed. There's no specific question that you are supposed to answer, but generally you have to develop a personal statement. And again, it should be structured academically, and again, it should have a specific topic and issue that you're talking about, and exactly the same standardized kind of criteria again. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Cho, do you want to add something?
No, I just wanted to add to what Mr. Jalal was saying, how from the university's perspective, they usually look at how you can contribute to the discussions, because especially in Singapore's context, we really enjoy vibrant and lively debates. The more you debate and argue against each other with very solid evidence, the more robust the thinking becomes, right? You become more critical in your thinking. You become a lot more. You expose yourself to a range of perspectives. So this helps you to develop your critical thinking skills, and that's why when you said that they need you to contribute to the classroom as well. So it's not just you wanting the scholarship, but they also are trying to assess whether you have anything to add, to this discussion.
Just to add
Is
the
the police
point.
siren from Singapore, or was it from Afghanistan? I just heard an ambulance siren.
Yeah, it's here in Singapore. Yeah. 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 So so just to add a point, guys, it really makes sense, from the university perspective itself, that the people you're spending money on, I should say, when they give scholarships, right? And even if you don't consider its financial aspects, the kind of person you're selecting and bringing into your university, it really makes sense in this. It really matters in the sense that you're expecting that this guy should benefit something, right? Overall. So that's why you're, through your personal statement, you're proving that you're somehow, you have a clear mindset that you have done something in your home, and then you came across with some specific issues and problems that you want to solve, but perhaps you cannot solve the problem back in your home country, and that is why actually, this university and school is, an environment for you to actually to thrive you and to help you in the sense that to tackle that specific kind of problem and issues and all, and so that you actually contribute and solve the problem back in your home at the end, after you go back home, for example. That is the general kind of expectation from the university perspective. So now think about, if you cannot prove, if you don't talk logically or meaningfully in your personal statement, for example, or in your general application, then the university cannot actually see any kind of clear kind of thinking from you, that so they will think like this guy doesn't have any kind of clear mindset and does not know where to go, what to do, and where does he come from. So these sort of issues, and that's why it really matters that overall your application should be coherent. Everything should be kind of cohesive together, including your personal statement that proves that you're on a good track and that you are planning to do something very clear and you're going a specific path, so that the university actually can help you and to reach there in that goal and objective. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jalal. I think Sohail, you raised your hands. Would you like to ask a question?
No, sorry. The other
question. Okay.
I have not one question.
No question.
No, sorry.
No problem.
So I have another question, and let me ask it in Persian. Okay.
Safiullah has a question.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I would ask that, I would go with Persian.
Good evening.
Safiullah جان شما سوالتانم بگوین خیلی.
سوال د فارسی مطرح کوم یا د انګلیش؟
پښتو کې هم صحیح ده.
پښتو کوم صحیح ده. السلام علیکم ورحمت الله وبرکاته. تاسو ټول ته سره خلاص. زما سوال د سکالرشپونو ترلاسه کولو په اړه دا و چې څنګه کولی شو سکالرشپونه بغیر دا یو غټه ایشو ده دغلته بغیر د ټافل او آیلټس سکور څخه ترلاسه کړو. دا ما په ګوګل فارم باندې تاسو نه کړو. ما خپل بیچلر همدارنګه ماستر دواړه په هندستان هوا څخه کړی دي چې سي آر سکالرشپ له ترو باندې. نو اوس غواړم چې پی ایچ ډي وکړم. نو زیاتره پی ایچ ډي چې کومه زیاتره ریکوایرمنټس کرایټیریا دا وي ته باید هغه ولري ټافل یا آیلټس ولري. نو آیا دینه بغیر کېږي چې ورته میډیم اف انسټرکشن وړاندې کوم یا داسې تاسو کوم سکالرشپونه یا تاسو ته کوم سکالرشپ معلوم وسي د هغې لینک موږ سره شیر کړئ نو ډېر منندوی به وي تاسو نه. دغه زما سوال یو پیشنهاد هم و. ډېر مننه.
ډېره مننه وروره. زما پښتو خو هسې هم ډېر ښه نه دي، خو بیا هم خپل مثلا
تاسو کولی شئ فارسي ووایئ یا انګلیش؟
ډېره ښه خبره ده، مننه. برادر یه خوبی که از اسکول ما که هست لیکوانی اسکول آف پابلیک پالیسی، اینا مثلا واضح در وبسایت خودم نوشته کرده که شما در صورتی که مثلا بک‌گراند قبلیتان امی بچلر و ماستر دیگری که گفتین اینا را به زبان انگلیسی خوانده باشین و از طرف موپنتونتان فقط امی میدیوم اف انسترکشن امی لیتر که برای از اینا در اپلیکیشن تان سابمیت بکنین، اینا دیگه تافل و به حساب آیلتس از شما نمیخواه، کدام مشکل نیست، برای اینا قابل قبول است به این ارتباط دیگه. بله مثلا بعضی اسکالرشپ های دیگه هستن، مثلا شیفنینگ فولبرایت یا اسکالرشپ های دیگه که معمول است دیگه جای دنیا، اونا مثلا دی قبول نمیکنن اکثرا. مثلا بازم مثلا یک قسم بگویم اصرار به چی میکنن که باید شما تافل و آیلتس داشته باشین. از او خاطر در این برنامه این اسکول ما که هست 4 پروگرام داره. امی لیکوانی اسکول آف پابلیک پالیسی، امی به حساب اسکول ما که در مربوط پنتون NUS میشه. برنامه امی ماستر آف پابلیک پالیسی را داره که من دو درس میخوانم فعلا. برنامه MIA را داره، ماستر آف اینترنشنال افیرز، و یک برنامه دیگه در بخش منیجمنت داره و یک پروگرام هم امی برنامه PhD است که در پابلیک پالیسی PhD است. و حتی برای برنامه PhD هم اینا از شما تافل و آیلتس نمیخواین، در صورتی که شما امی میدیوم اف انسترکشن امی لیتر از پنتون بگیرین، برای اینا در وقتی که اپلای میکنین به حساب سابمیت بکنین، تافل و آیلتس اینا به حساب شما نمیخواین. اینا واضح در می وبسایت خود نوشته کردم. I would ask Edmund John to share the link of school's website with you guys. Yeah, I'm sure. So شما باز یک بار که مطالعه کنین در عمومی درباره وبسایت، درباره پروگرام‌های مختلفش این PPMIA و هم PhD انشالله که باز خودتان بهتر در آشنا میشین.
زنده باسی جلال جان. این پروگرام انجینیرینگ نداره اسکول؟
اسکول ما که هست
environmental science کورس
ما هدفتان گرفتم. این اسکول ما که هست این اسکول ما مثل یک فاکولته میمونه، مثل که پندون کابل مثلا فاکولته های مختلف داره. نه این لیکوانی اسکول آف پابلیک پالیسی که هست مثل یک فاکولته در قالب NUS هست، نشنال یونیورسیتی آف سنگاپور. خود NUS که هست یک پندون بسیار کلان است، پروگرام های مختلف داره، ولی من در این اسکول درس میخوانم به حساب که مربوط NUS میشه در لیکوانیو. در بخش انجینیرینگ و انوایرمنتال طبعا که اینا بخش دارن و این مربوط اسکول ما نمیشه ولی مربوط NUS میشه، مربوط یک فاکولته دیگه است، بگویم فاکولته دیزاین و انجینیرینگ میشه از شما. و دوجه شما ایتو کنین که در می وبسایت خود NUS برین، وبسایت شما در گوگل هم که سرچ بکنین NUS National University of Singapore، باز دیجا برین پروگرام‌های زیرا که بخونین، می پروگرام environmental science حتما پیدا میکنین دوجه که شما گفتین در فاکولته دیزاین انجینیرینگ. به خاطر از اینکه تعداد امی دیپارتمنت ها اینا زیاد است، کم ذره به حساب جنجالی است تا که امو برنامه مخصوص خودت پیدا بتانی. ولی یک بار که پیدا کنی کل معلومات در اوج ذکر است. ما مطمئن هستم که حتما در بخشای مثلا انجینیری در پروگرام‌های PhD حتما فرصت‌های اسکالرشیپ اینا هستن. شما وقتی که معمولا اپلای میکنین، طبعا یک پورتال دارن اینا، وقتی که اپلیکیشن سابمیت میکنین، شما وقتی که اپلای میکنین در اوج دمی اپلیکیشن و پورتالی که پای خود حتما ذکر میکنین که شما به مثلا اسکالرشیپ میخواین که مثلا به شما به نظر گرفته شود. باز اینا اون پروگرام اسکالرشیپ به نظر به شما میگیره. مثل شیفلینگ و فول برایت نیست که شما به پنتون جدا اپلای بکنین، به برنامه اسکالرشیپ جدا. خوبی امی NUS است که شما فقط یک اپلیکیشن دارین و در امو اپلیکیشن تون مثلا شما اوج آپشن داره که اوج انتخاب میکنین که مرا در اسکالرشیپ به نظر بگیرین. باز اونا که اپلیکیشن شما رو پروسس میکنه در مو جریان مثلا باز اونا متوجه است که بر شما به حساب شما رو در کاتگوری مردمای بگیره که به حساب شما اسکالرشیپ به نظر گرفته شود. از او خاطر من فکر میکنم NUS یک سهولت است برای شما، برای ما مردم. به او دلیل شما در پنتون در وبسایت پنتون NUS برین و اوجا فاکولته مد نظر خود پیدا بکنین. اوجا فاکولته بسیار زیاد است، بسیار زیاد مختلف، از بخشای طبی گرفته تا به انجینیرینگ و IT و هر بخش زیاد است، بسیار پنتون کلان است. ولی پروگرامی که من میخوانم، من از یک فاکولته مخصوص گپ میزنم، نه LKY اسکول، به حساب من از یک فاکولته مخصوص پابلیک پالیسی گپ میزنم و می برنامه MPP. اما به حساب فاکولته دیگه هستن، دیزاین و انجینیرینگ و اینا که شما او را پیدا میکنین ان شاء الله. ما ان شاء الله که به حساب در خدمت می باشم. هر سوال باشه در اون ارتباط حتما خوشحال میشم که امروز شما در همکاری مستقیم بتونم. ادمون جان اینا هستن، طریق اینا به تماس می باشیم ان شاء الله.
یک چیزی هم که ما اضافه کنیم برای دوستایی که اینجا هستن، کایت کانسلتنسی هم برای امی هست، به خاطر که در نمی پروسه که آقای جلال رفتن و همچنان اونو دوست ما دکتر ادمون چاو هست و اینمی تیم ما که هست، ما برای نمی چی هستیم که بتانیم اینمی فرصت ها رو برای افغان ها زیادتر انشالله مهیا بسازیم. باز شما میتونین که همراه کانسلتنسی ما به ارتباط شوین و اینجا تشریف بیارین. ما در کابل دفتر ما هسته، اینجا میتونین تشریف بیارین و از نزدیک تمام اونمو کیس خود شما که کدام آمادگی‌ها شما دارین، چی چیزایی را لازم دارین تا ای که این پروسه و پیش بره، میشه که انشالله سر از این بحث بکنیم. و آقا جلال، ما یک سوال دیگه هم داشتم. سوال می است که خب به نظر شما، به خاطر که شما خودتان از این پروسه اسکالرشیپ پیش رفتین، برای کسی که میخواد شروع بکنه تا ای که مثلا برای سال آینده انشالله آماده شوه و بتونه که باز یک بودجه بسیار خوب مد نظر بگیره، کدام چک لیست بسیار مهم است به نظر شما که کدام قدم ها را بر خود هدف تعیین بکنن تا اینکه قسمی شما گفتین که هر قدم گفتین ما که پوره میکردم باز یک تک میکردم، اونم قدم ها چی چیزایی هسته به نظر شما که ما یعنی دوستا بتونن بیشتر استفاده کنن، یک اکشن پلان بسیار خوب برای خود جور کنن؟
بسیار سوال مهم است همی. به خاطر که مدامی آل تاریخ 13 دسامبر از زمین تاریخ 15 دسامبر پروسه امسال بسته میشه، پروسه که امسال مردم اپلای میکنه. این 2 روز دیگه وقتش مونده. مدامی جریان 3-4 ماه گذشته همراه باز دوستا همکاری داشتم و بسیار چیزای جالب متوجه شدم که اکثرا ما اشتباه میکنیم. بعضی چیزا رو حتی بسیار دست کم میگیریم. از او خاطر یعنی شخصا اگر ما مثلا فرض مثال اگر خودم یک اپلیکانت باشم، فرض مثال به سال آینده من یک اپروچ بسیار مثلا مشخص به خودم میگم. فرض مثال ابتدایی ترین چیزی که هست، ما بعضی دوستا رو متوجه شدیم که مثلا حتی مثلا یک ایمیل آدرس درست و پروفشنال بگویم که مثلا نداره بعضی دوستا، از اینمی شروع که شما ضرورت است که یک ایمیل آدرس داشته باشین، یک چیز منظم پیش خود داشته باشین که باز او فرض مثال دمی پورتال به حساب وبسایت ای برنامه شما وقتی که میخواین اپلای بکنین، اون یک پورتال بر شما میاد، شما میرین دوجه مثل فیسبوک یا هر چیز دیگه یک اپلیکیشن جور میکنین، به حساب یک اکانت جور میکنین. اول باز دایی اکانت بسیار مراحل، مثلا چند مراحل است، فرض مثال 10 15 20 مرحله است که شما مرحله به مرحله پیش میرین، هر کدامش هم تو جدا تکمیل میکنین. ولی به صورت عموم به حساب تمام چیزایی که ضرورت است، مثلا شما باید فرض مثال اینمی ایسه یک چیز مهم است، شما باید مثلا یک چیکلاس جور بکنین به این شکل که مثلا شماره اول بزنین که باید یک ایسه دیولپ بکنین، یک دانه ایسه باید نوشته بکنین، همین پرسونال استیتمنت اون کس نه برای می پروگرام. مثلا یک سی وی بسیار خوب پروفشنال شما باید جور بکنین. موضوع دومش فرض مثال 2 دانه ریکامندیشن لیتر داشته باشین. 2 دانه ریکامندیشن لیتر برای ان یو اس برای پروگرام ما برای ما مثلا گفته شده بود که شما 2 دانه ریکامندیشن لیتری که باید سابمیت بکنین، میتونین که هر دوی از ریکامندیشن لیتر شما پروفشنال باشه، یعنی از جای کاریتان باشه، مثلا 2 کسی که همراه شما کار کرده و مردم درباره شما گپ بزنن، و یا که 2 دانه ساز پندون باشه که هر دویش اکادمیک بیایه به حساب، یا 2 دانه ریکامندیشن لیتر اکادمیک یا 2 دانه به حساب پروفشنال ریکامندیشن لیتر. ولی چیزی که دایی بسیار مهم است در ریکامندیشن لیترها، چی پروفشنال باشه چی اکادمیک باشه، بسیار مهم است که این مردمایی را که شما ریفرنس میدین اینجا، استادایتان یا فرض مثال مردمایی که به حساب همکارای شما هستن، سوپروایزر هستن در جای کاری، اینا باید یک آفیشیال ایمیل آدرس داشته باشن. بسیار مهم است. وقتی که مثلا فرض مثال برای اینا اگر شما مثلا ریفرنس شما از یک ایمیل شخصی استفاده میکنه، مثلا اینا برشان سوال پیدا میشه که چه قسم است. نه به خاطر کل دنیا فرض مثال هر اینستیتوت و هر استابلیشمنتی که از هر پنتونی که از هر کمپانی که از یا دولت است، اینا مثلا امروزه کلگی آفیشیال ایمیل آدرس ها دارن. به خاطر مثلا آفیشیال ایمیل آدرس ها بسیار مهم هستن، اینا بعضی دوستان دست کم میگیرن ولی بسیار زیاد تاثیر داره در پروسه اپلیکیشن شما. همین قسم فرض مثال شما تجربه کاری خود مثلا نشان میدین، در سی وی تان نشان میدین، مثلا در پروگرام ام پی پی بین 2 تا 5 سال تجربه کاری گفته که شما باید داشته باشین، ولی مثلا فلکسیبل است، کم زیاد مثلا پروا ندارد در صورتی که شما بتونین مثلا بسیار خوب مثلا این مردم قناعت داده بتونین از لحاظ کوالیتی اپلیکیشنی که شما مثلا در آخر سابمیت میکنین. و همین قسم فرض مثال برای ثبوت کردن لیول انگلیسی تان توفل یا آیلتس داشته باشین، یا هم در صورتی که توفل و آیلتس ندارین، اما در صورتی که شما پروگرام قبلی تان مثلا بچلر دیگری تان در پنتون خواندین که به زبان انگلیسی درس داده، شما باید یک میدیوم اف اینستراکشن یک لیتر از پنتون بگیرین برای از اینا سابمیت بکنین. مثلا این بسیار یک چیز مهم است، حتما باید برای از اینا ثابت شود که شما به انگلیسی درس خواندین. و اسنادایی که مهم است در اکثر دنیا خود توفل و آیلتس دیگه نشان میده که تو چقدر انگلیسی یاد داری، نه؟ ولی فرض مثال یک فلکسیبیلیتی که در پنتون ماست و با عموم میدیوم اف اینستراکشن لیتر هم مثلا اینا پروسه شما را پیش میبره، یه خوبیش است. دیگه شما باید دیپلمتون داشته باشین، ترانسکریپتتون داشته باشین از لحاظ اسنادا. یعنی مجموعه ریکوایرمنت است که شما مثلا لیست وارد داشته باشین، هر کدام از اینا که شما خوب همتون به حساب از لحاظ کوالیتیش چک کرده که همتون اینا رو تهیه میکنین، اون تک مارک میکنین که بله این یس کل چیز تهیه شده و شما اون اسنادایتون اپلود میکنین، سوالا رو جواب میدین، سوالا رو بسیار زیاد سرش دقت میکنین، فکر میکنین، کار میکنین. مخصوصا پرسونال استیتمنت، ما پرسونال استیتمنت خودم که خودم دیولپ میکردم چیزی را که در ماه اگست دیولپ کرده بودم و چیزی را که در ماه دسامبر باز داخل سبمیت کردم زمین و آسمان تفاوت داشت بگویم. یعنی بسیار زیاد کار میخواید، یعنی بعضی وقتا مثلا خوب بیس کار خود به حساب باید انجام بدیم، باز بریم یک هفته بعد مثلا چک بکنیم ببینیم که چقدر تغییرات میاد ایدیای خود آدم. نه دوباره که وقتی که مثلا او را ریویو میکنیم بسیار زیاد چیزای نو میتونیم مثلا در اونجا بیاریم و این سری تغییر بدیم. و فکر کنین که اگر شما سر یک 3 ماه 4 ماه 5 ماه کار بکنین در آخر 5 ماه یک چیزی می داشته باشین، نه از لحاظ کوالیتیش بسیار یک چیز عالی می داشته باشین و این چانس کامیابی شما را بالا میبره. در صورتی که شما مثلا اگر دست کم بگیرین دمو درافت اول دیگه خوش شوین پس دوستامتون میکنن. متاسفانه من پارسال امرای یک کسی همکاری میکردم، من خوب واضحا بر شفا ماندم که کل چیز خود آدم جور کرده بود. باز من میگفتم که ریلکس دیگه، ما 4-5 ماه قرار است که کار بکنیم، ولی این دوست ما بدون از اینکه امروز مشوره کنه در یک هفته اپلیکیشن خود سابمیت کرد و طبعا کامیاب نشد و من برش گفتم که مثلا چانس کامیابی کم است وقتی که مثلا صحیح که تو کل اسنادا داری سابمیت میکنی، ولی تنها سابمیت کردن یک اپلیکیشن معنی از این نداره که ما کامیاب میشیم. حتی هر قدر که کوالیتی از این پنتونا اینا کم هم باشه بازم مثلا اینا چی میکنن، نه یک بعضی کریتریا هستن که باید اونها را باید مثلا ما نظر بگیریم. از او خاطر یعنی شما وقتی که 5 ماه 4 ماه سر یک اپلیکیشن کار میکنین واقعا که همیشه پالش شده میره، یک چیز خوب داخل می داشته باشین. نه از اون لحاظ Edmund John, I'm sorry I'm talking too much in Persian. I don't know what you...
No, it's good. They're here to listen to you.
Just to summarize the points, I asked him questions regarding what can be a great checklist for the application to like apply next year. So thank you so much. I really got my answers, and thank you. Yes, sir. Now you may continue.
Any other questions from anyone else online? I think this is your time. I think definitely we want to facilitate as many discussions, questions and answers to help meet your needs. So let's see if anyone else has a follow-up question. If no, I will ask another question. How would you describe the teaching quality at NUS? Is there a specific way the teaching faculty, the professors, are they, is it a lot of lectures, a lot of case studies, a lot of group work? I don't know. So would you describe the experience?
So of course there are a lot of segments with regard to the combination of everything you have to be assessed from within every course, but generally the teaching quality, as you mentioned, of course NUS is the top 8 university in the world, so there's no questions when it recruits people, right, with regard to their qualification of these professors generally. And so what happens from my experience with a lot of these professors, the good thing is all these professors, they actually a lot of them, they bring their own piece of work and research in the course. For example, just this past semester we had this course, financial management for public organizations, and the professor who is a German guy, he was basically throughout this 4 months of the semester, like every week he was just explaining his own piece of research like every week, and both linking theories and academia, all these aspects, and it was such a great experience, I believe. And of course when you're enrolled in a course, there are specific assessment criteria that you have to meet so that you be successful from the course. And of course engagement in the class really matters, and by engagement I really mean active engagement, and there's a specific kind of grade allocated for these sort of active engagement in the classes. For example, you have to discuss in the class, you have to ask questions, you have to argue, and you have to contribute in the class. The thing is that before every class, we have to read specific reading materials. There are kind of binding readings we have to do, and there are some optional readings if you're like interested to study further. And then reading all those stuff, then you have to join the class and then discuss everything. So if you have no idea of before the when you attend a class, it's really difficult to argue in the class and to discuss. And when, for example, somebody, the professor or your colleagues ask you about a specific point and you say, I don't have any idea, and that is such a big shame, I should say, in the sense that it really doesn't make sense, like you join a class and you have no idea about the topic. Why? What does it mean? So for that, you have to read and be prepared and then come to that class. And so there's also this other assessment criteria. There could be midterm exams and final exams. So with some classes, we don't have exams at all. There are group works and presentations. There are some kind of reports we have to submit at the end of the semester. There are a lot of assignments. There are individual kind of assignments. So all of these stuff, but different from course to course, are there, for assessment purposes. And sometimes the load of the work is really, really tough. But it doesn't mean that we can't do that. It's not to discourage people. I would have, kind of tell people that if I could have made it, you guys also, of course, for sure. Because I believe I was so lazy, I could made it. You guys, for sure, you can make it.
Do you become homesick? So now I think you're close to 2 years away from Afghanistan, right? Almost 2 years now. Do you feel homesick?
Yeah, of course.
How do you deal with that? How do you?
Yes. So the kind of what I do is actually I talk a lot with my families back home. That's the first thing to somehow manage. I do run on a regular basis. Yeah, and that helps a lot actually. Yeah, and I do some specific tasks. Yeah, to keep myself busy, and the more I get busy, the better I feel.
Okay.
Because
maybe
if I
one
don't
more question.
Yeah, please. Because if I don't do anything, then I will overthink about it, right? And that makes it worse.
And it's also very important for you to mingle with other classmates, right? I mean, share some of your concerns. You form support groups for each other. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, of course,
That's
there are
part of
people,
your-
of course. Yeah. Yeah.
So the next question is, you said that you are the only Afghan studying at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. In fact, because I'm Singaporean, I just left Singapore 9 months ago. I think the last time we counted the number of Afghan people living in Singapore, maybe were less than 10. Maybe, right? Generally. I think you are the only student. The rest are all working adults, professionals in different private sectors. So my question for you is, when you are the only Afghan in the classroom discussion, do you feel the responsibility to represent Afghanistan in a very specific way?
Yes, I do. In fact, in a lot of the the things we discuss from a public policy perspective. So public policy mostly, is all about, I should say, about the government, and the government is related to politics mostly. So we have this one core course of politics with regard to public policy, and in that course, of course, you have to get engaged in the class, in discussions and everything. So and being an Afghan, we have a lot of arguments, and we have a lot of things to share with the people. I believe we are so much misunderstood. Guys, the really interesting part is that back home in Afghanistan, we somehow we are so much proud of ourselves. Of course, so we are such a proud nation generally because of a lot of the reasons. Let me share one example, right? So we had this economic growth course this past semester, and in one of the courses, one day we were talking. The professor was talking about this, colonization, and this the quality of institutions from different countries, and they were mentioning that this British colonies actually, helped some countries, of course, countries like Singapore, of course, and in India some of the times, but there are some countries when this colonization happened, the British, especially the British colonizers, didn't really build institutions in those countries. They were just extracting resources and somehow kind of were doing this rent-seeking kind of approach in those countries, and they were not contributing generally in that. While in other countries like Singapore, Malaysia, or even India, they built some institutions. So, for example, that's one of my arguments, that if India is better than Afghanistan, at least in some aspects and indicators, one of the great reasons actually, and it was actually also mentioned by Ustad Masood, who's a very famous professor at Kabul University, and a lot of other professors, that part of this this development actually is caused by these institutions that were built by British colonizers in India. So maybe these institutions help India to kind of get developed a little bit faster, maybe compared to other neighboring countries such as Iran, I should say, Pakistan, and of course Afghanistan as well. So the thing is, I was talking about this other thing. So one day I mentioned that so the professor was talking about this extractive colonization and all these sort of stuff, and I said, I was of course making a joke that back home in Afghanistan we sometimes argue that maybe I mean it doesn't make sense, but I'm just sharing to make a fun. Maybe it would have been better for us to get colonized so that we could have better institutions today, for example. Maybe, but it doesn't make sense. I don't agree with this point, but I was just making fun there. And then it was actually interesting for the professor as well. And I exactly shared this Indian experience. And but generally, even if we as Afghans, we suffer from all those problems back home, but generally we are a proud nation, and we have a lot to actually share to the world. And I'm really that's why I'm really optimistic about the future. We are very much misperceived, misunderstood, and a lot of the times, whatever happens about Afghanistan, it's all about others talking about Afghanistan. There is no Afghan voice in the international arena to introduce us, to share, our thoughts and context. So that's why we are very much misperceived and misunderstood globally. And a lot of the time, it's surprising when I share something, for example, that we as Afghans, we did that, and we did that, and people get surprised. Oh, really? They don't really know we, as Afghans, we were doing such and so. They really perceive that Afghans are very much, I should say, very much, extremely, if I put it, somehow, these Afghans do not contribute anything from academic, perspective or literature, technology, of course, nothing in the world. They believe that Afghans just, contribute these, conflicts and wars and other, extreme kind of terminologies. That's the way generally we have been introduced to the people, and it's all about, what others talk about us. So
Yeah.
that is how that is what really I deal here in Singapore with within the school and with colleagues as well. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a very useful tip to let Afghan scholars, future scholars, to also think about representing Afghanistan in a richer way, so that, like you said, so that we will not feel misunderstood by the global perspective. Yeah. So I think the time is coming to a close, but would you share one or two specific tips that you think will be most useful for people considering the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy Master's Program?
So generally, I would recommend that if you're really interested to get into this program, you should definitely consider preparing as soon as possible. Starting from
because the window is already closed, right? I mean, the window period for application is closed. So you're saying that we should even prepare way ahead.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a waste of time generally, I believe, because you may come to understand something when studying this Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy website. You may understand something now, and then you would come across with some other interesting kind of point or terms, whatever, in a couple of months, for example. So not a single time if you put there is wasted. So for that, I would definitely recommend to consider preparing for the program as early as possible, and definitely plan ahead and then do some specific kind of tasks, such as as I mentioned, some of those friends, they didn't have even email addresses. So even prepare the email address now. And then, of course, create a user account, a portal, a user account in the portal from today, and read everything, every point there, and prepare your documents, start writing your personal statement. And the more you work on your application, the better, your chance will be actually when you submit as a final version. So that's one thing I would really definitely recommend. Yeah.
That's a great tip. Thank you very much. At KITE, we are also offering a lot of consulting for students hoping to improve their writing skills. So for scholarship writing, it's a very, very specific skill in order to tell your story, like what Mr. Jalal was talking about, how you can leverage your own work experience and talk about how you can use these to address some of the challenges that you face in Afghanistan. I think that will be the most important strategic way of positioning your essay or your personal statement, so that the people who read it will actually be very impressed with it. So I think at this point in time, I just want to thank you again, Mr. Jalal, for your time and your generosity in sharing.
Thank you so much.
And I hope that we will see you back in Kabul as soon as you finish your studies.
Inshallah.
And thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Edmond John. Thank you.